Okay. All right. Hey, that's sounding better. Yes. So, okay, I'm Mike Roos, and it is physically impossible for me to play a guitar, so I have to do something else, and so I became a comedian. And uh, recently, Vanessa and I have been going to Zumba. Tonight, we blew that off so that I could make fun of the Zumba instructors. And so we're members of the Crunch Fitness Center, and there's Zumba on Mondays and Wednesdays, two different instructors. And so the first instructor is a woman, and one of the things she does is says, well, Zumba's kind of like dance. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like I ballroom dance. And, ballroom dancing looks smooth and elegant, and Zumba kind of looks like this. And and then she says, oh, we got all this great salsa music. And it's like, no, that's not salsa music. That's merengue and bachata, but there was not a salsa in there at all. Then one thing she does on stage is kind of like shakes, and it's like, but she's wearing loose fitting clothing, and so there's nothing there to see. Now I've got kind of my own Zumba move, and it kind of looks like this. Our other Zumba instructor is a guy, and he was doing fancy stuff with his hat, and then when he was done, he put his hat on backwards. It's like, this is the right way to wear a hat. This bill here that shades your eyes from the sun. And I looked around the room tonight, and there's a few guys out there wearing hats, and all of them put their hat on the right way. So another thing they're doing is, Zumba is like real high intensity, and you're just like jumping around a lot, and it gets you really tired. So I'm a Christian and I'm a comedian, and so by default that makes me a Christian comedian. And I found out after doing that a few times that it's like doing comedy with one hand tied behind your back. And the reason why is, you can't say the F word. And for comedians, that's like half of their vocabulary. The other thing is, every time you tell a joke, half of the audience laughs at you, and the other half accuses you of blasphemy. So, religion's kind of in the news. We're picking a new pope here. The election started today. I'm sure some of you have seen the pictures online of Donald Trump in the robe. And, he thought it'd be cool to be pope, and he was going to choose the name Innocent the 14th. But then, as soon as he found out that a vow of celibacy was required, he changed his mind and said, no, that's not for me. Now, one of the guys I'm hoping gets in is Cardinal Pizzabella, because that's like a really cool sounding name. And there is historical precedence for somebody reigning as pope under their given name, and so I think they'd be missing a really big opportunity if we did not have Pope Pizzabella the First. So then, I recently had lunch with a friend who had attended seminary to become a Protestant minister, and so he was telling me about some of his experiences, and one experience was that he said there's actually a class in things you do not tell the congregation. And so so I said, well, what's an example of that? And he says, well, one of the things is, you do not tell them that if you're a Christian and your ex-spouse is also a Christian, that you're going to get to spend eternity together. And, among many of the divorced people that I know, that usually it was the woman who initiated the divorce. And so in this particular scenario, the guy's going to be spending eternity trying to get her back together with her, and the woman's going to be spending eternity trying to get away from him. Now, that just doesn't sound like my definition of heaven. It sounds like maybe the other place. So another thing was to say that, God has a plan for everybody. And he said, but when you actually discuss that with somebody in the congregation, be vague. He said, don't get specific. He said, because, God has big plans for some people. And, there's Bible stories about those people. Other people, the plan is, they're going to work at Walmart their whole life and die of a heart attack when they're 50. One of the other examples he gave me was that he said, as a pastor, you also have to counsel people through tough times. And so, one of the most difficult things is after the death of a loved one. He said, that is not the time to say, God is always good. Instead, at that particular time, you say, God works in mysterious ways. Then, some people get involved in traffic accidents. And like right before the accident, you might hear, Jesus, take the wheel. And then, sometimes the accident happens anyway. I said, this is not the time to remind this person that Jesus had a driver's license for a camel. It expired 2,000 years ago. And it is not real ID compliant. So starting today, he can't go on an airplane. Then another thing they often ask is, would you recognize Jesus? And I'm saying, if some guy shows up to my door in the middle of winter wearing a robe and a sandals, I'm thinking, that's got to be an imposter. Because I think Jesus would probably wear clothing that's appropriate to the season. But, who knows? So then, I asked him what he was doing now, and he said, going to seminary really prepared me to be able to tell people anything and get them to believe it. He said, so now I'm selling used cars. Because, compared to telling people about religion, it's like, it's easy to sell them a car. Thank you and good night.